Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. What if I told you that in just 20 minutes you could change the entire course of your life? Some of you have been stuck in the same cycle for years. You've been waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right feeling. But I came to tell you your breakthrough is not in the future. Your breakthrough is in this moment. One decision. That's all it takes to turn the course of your life in an entirely different direction. One choice, one moment of clarity, one bold step forward can shift everything. Think about it. Every great success story you've ever heard started with a single decision. A decision to try, to step out in faith, to take a risk, to walk away from something toxic, to believe in something greater. It wasn't luck. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't because the stars aligned. It was because someone made a decision and followed through. But the problem is, most people hesitate. They sit at the crossroads of life, staring at the path ahead, debating, analyzing, overthinking, and talking themselves out of the very thing that could change their life forever. Fear creeps in. Doubt starts whispering. And before they know it, the opportunity that was right in front of them slips away. How many times have you stood on the edge of something great but didn't move because you were afraid? How many times have you felt the urge to act, but instead you let your mind talk you out of it? The truth is, success is not reserved for the most talented or the most intelligent. It belongs to those who make a decision and commit to it. Look at the world around you. Every invention, every breakthrough, every empire, every movement, it all started with someone making a single decision. Someone decided they were tired of being in the same place. Someone decided they weren't going to live in mediocrity. Someone decided they were going to take a chance. A decision is not just a thought, it's an act of power. When you decide, truly decide, the entire universe begins to shift in your favor. Doors begin to open that were once closed. Opportunities start appearing that you never noticed before. But it doesn't happen until you decide. Some of you have been waiting for a sign, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for confirmation. But let me tell you something, the moment you've been waiting for is already here. The power isn't in waiting, the power is in deciding. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who wait for a feeling, they are the ones who act despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite not having all the answers. And let's be honest, what is the alternative? To keep living the same way, to keep waiting year after year, watching other people step into what was meant for you. Time is passing whether you make a decision or not. But if you make the right decision today, that one act of courage could be the catalyst that leads to an entirely different future. Some of the most successful people in history were at their lowest moments when they made a life-altering decision. They had no guarantee, no safety net, no perfect plan, but they had a made-up mind. And a made-up mind is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Is when someone decides that nothing will stop them, not fear, not doubt, not the opinions of others, nothing can stand in their way. Your past is a place you've been, not a place you have to stay. But too many people live as if they are trapped in the mistakes, failures, and pain of yesterday. They walk through life carrying the weight of what happened before, allowing it to define who they are and what they can become. Some people are stuck in their past because of guilt, tormented by the things they wish they had done differently. They replay old decisions in their mind, beating themselves up over things they cannot change. They think, if only I had taken that opportunity, if only I had spoken up, if only I hadn't made that mistake. But the past is unchangeable. No matter how much you dwell on it, you cannot rewrite history. What you can do, however, is decide that it will not control you anymore. Others are trapped by pain, things that were done to them, words that were spoken over them, betrayals that left scars on their hearts. Maybe someone abandoned you. Maybe you were mistreated. Maybe life threw challenges at you that you didn't deserve. But holding on to the pain of the past does not heal you. In fact, it does the opposite. It keeps you locked in a current, a cycle of hurt. robbing you of the future you deserve. Some people don't even realize they are prisoners of their past because they have simply accepted that life is the way it is. They have stopped hoping for better because they've convinced themselves that nothing will change. Maybe they failed too many times and started to believe they weren't meant to succeed. Maybe they tried to love again after heartbreak but got once more, so they decided to close their heart completely. Maybe they gave up on their dreams because they thought they had already missed their chance. Abby, the truth is, the only power the past has over you is the power you give it. Yes, the past shaped you, but it does not define you. Yes, what happened before may have been painful, but it does not have to dictate what happens next. Every single person who has ever achieved greatness has had a past filled with failures, struggles, and heartbreaks. Some came from nothing, were counted out, or made mistakes that should have destroyed them. But the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is this: they refuse to let their past become their prison. They refuse to let the voices of yesterday drown out the possibilities of tomorrow. They refuse to let their past failures convince them they weren't capable. They refuse to let their past pain keep them from experiencing joy. Some of you have been defining yourselves by what you've been through instead of who you are. You've been telling yourself that because you failed before, you will fail again. You've been telling yourself that because someone hurt you, no one else can be trusted. You've been telling yourself that because you didn't get it right last time, you're not worthy of another chance. But what if the things you've been through weren't meant to break you, but to build you? What if the struggles weren't a punishment, but preparation? What if everything that has happened was not meant to keep you down, but to give you the strength, wisdom, and resilience to step into something greater? Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. It's a chapter in your story, but it is not the final page. The only way it can hold you back is if you keep looking back instead of moving forward. The only way it can trap you is if you allow it to become your identity instead of a stepping stone to something better. Too many people never step into their destiny because they are too busy rehearsing their history. They let the old narrative play in their minds, reinforcing the belief that they are not worthy, not capable, not enough. But the truth is, you are more than what you've been through. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not the hurt you have experienced. Fear has been stealing dreams, silencing voices, and paralyzing potential far too long. It whispers in the back of your mind, reminding you of every reason you shouldn't step forward. It tells you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. It convinces you that failure is inevitable, so you shouldn't even try. Fear doesn't need to physically restrain you. It only needs to make you doubt yourself. Because if you doubt, you hesitate. And if you hesitate long enough, you will stay exactly where you are. But faith is the force that breaks chains. Faith is the power that moves mountains, the light that shatters darkness, the fuel that drives people to do the impossible. Faith is the belief that something greater exists beyond what your eyes can see. It is the inner knowing that no matter how uncertain the road ahead looks, you are not walking it alone. Faith doesn't require proof, it only requires trust. The problem is most people let fear speak louder than faith. When an opportunity comes, fear screams, what if I fail? But faith says, what if I succeed? Fear says, what if they reject me? But faith says, what if I find my purpose? Fear will always present the worst case scenario, but faith reminds you that even in the unknown, there is a greater plan at work. Think about all the times fear has kept you from moving forward. How many moments in your life have been stolen because you were afraid? Afraid of what people would say, afraid of what could go wrong, afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone. How many dreams have died not because they were impossible, but because someone was too afraid to pursue them? But here's the truth, fear is a liar. It disguises itself as wisdom, making you believe you are being realistic when in reality you are just scared. It tells you to wait for the perfect time when deep down you know that time will never come. It keeps you bound in a cycle of hesitation, convincing you that you need more signs, more preparation, more validation before you can take action. Yet, the greatest victories in history were not won by people who had no fear. They were won by people who had faith despite their fear. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel afraid. It means you won't let fear control you. It means that even with trembling hands, you will take the step anyway. It means that even with uncertainty in your heart, you will trust that the ground will appear beneath your feet. Fear is a prison, but faith is the key that unlocks the door. The moment you choose faith over fear, your entire life begins to shift. Suddenly, possibilities open where there once were none. Strength rises in you that you didn't know you had. Doors begin to swing open that were once closed, not because everything is guaranteed to be easy, but because faith gives you the courage to keep moving forward, even when it's hard. Faith doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it moves in the midst of uncertainty. Faith doesn't ask for guarantees, it trusts the process. Faith doesn't need all the answers, it only needs to know that the one who called you is greater than any challenge ahead. Too many people let fear run their lives. They let fear tell them they aren't worthy of love, so they settle for relationships that drain them. They let fear tell them they aren't capable of success, so they never apply for the opportunity. They let fear tell them they aren't talented enough, so they never share their gifts. And in the end, they live a life far below what they were created for, not because they weren't capable, but because they let fear win. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. You have to make a choice. Will you believe in your doubts, or will you believe in your destiny? Will you let fear keep you small, or will you let faith push you toward the greatness inside of you? The choice is yours. Fear will always be present, but it doesn't have to be in control. Because when faith takes the lead, fear loses its power. And when fear loses its power, nothing can stop you. Everything in your life, your success, your relationships, your finances, your happiness is determined by the way you think. Your mindset is the foundation of everything you experience. If your mind is locked in negativity, doubt, and limitation, then your life will reflect those very things. But if your mind is elevated, filled with belief, possibility, and faith, then your life will begin to transform before your eyes. The most powerful thing about the human mind is that it can either be your greatest asset or your biggest enemy. Two people can face the exact same situation. One will rise and the other will crumble. Not because one was luckier than the other, not because one had more opportunities, but because one chose to see possibility while the other focused on obstacles. The battle is never external. It is always internal first. If you win in your mind, you win in your life. Some people have conditioned themselves to think small for so long that they don't even realize they are doing it. They talk themselves out of opportunities before they even try. They assume that success is for other people, not for them. They believe that happiness, abundance, and purpose are things that only a few lucky people get to experience. But that is a lie. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't intelligence, luck, or background, it's mindset. Your mind is like a garden where whatever you plant in it will grow. If you plant doubt, fear, and negativity, your life will be filled with struggle and limitation. But if you plant faith, confidence, and expectation, your life will begin to reflect those things. The problem is that most people have spent years watering weeds instead of planting seeds of greatness. They have nurtured thoughts of failure, inadequacy, and fear until those thoughts became their reality. Think about how you speak to yourself. Are you constantly saying, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'll never get there? Or are you declaring, I am capable, I am worthy, I'm more than enough? Your words shape your world. Your internal dialogue either pushes you forward or holds you back. And if you've been feeding yourself the wrong thoughts for years, it's time to shift. Some people have developed a victim mindset without even realizing it. They blame their past, their circumstances, their environment, or the people around them for where they are in life. And while it's true that life can be unfair, while it's true that you may have faced challenges beyond your control, The most powerful thing you can ever do is take responsibility for your own mindset. Because the moment you take ownership of your thoughts, you take ownership of your future. Your mind is like a lens through which you see the world. If the lens is dirty with past trauma, self-doubt, and fear, then everything you look at will appear impossible. But when you clean that lens, when you shift your thinking, you begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to see solutions instead of problems. You begin to believe that you are capable, not because the circumstances changed, but because your mindset did. Some of you have been living with a scarcity mindset for too long. You believe there's not enough success, enough money, enough opportunities, so you oppositely of a place of lack instead of abundance. But what if you shifted? What if you started to believe that the world is full of endless opportunities and that there is more than enough for you? What if you stopped seeing yourself as someone who has to struggle and started seeing yourself as someone who is destined for greatness? A shift in mindset doesn't happen overnight. It requires daily effort, daily discipline, daily renewal of your thoughts. It means being intentional about what you feed your mind, what you read, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with. It means challenging old beliefs that no longer serve you and replacing them with thoughts that empower you. You cannot live a positive life with a negative mind. You cannot step into greatness with a mindset that is still stuck in mediocrity. You cannot become the best version of yourself if you are still thinking like the person who settled for less. The change you want to see in your life begins with the change you make in your mind. When you shift your mindset, you shift your future. Time. It is the one thing in life that you can never get back. You can lose money and earn it again. You can lose opportunities and create new ones. You can rebuild relationships, restore broken dreams, and start fresh after failure. But time, once it's gone forever, and the clock is ticking. Every second that passes is a second you will never get back. Every moment that slips away is a moment that cannot be rewound. Yet too many people live as if time is unlimited. They wake up every morning assuming they have more time to do the things they keep putting off. They push their dreams into the future. They tell themselves they'll start someday. They say, I'll get serious about my goals next year. I'll fix my relationships when I have more time. I'll take care of my health later, but later is not promised. How many dreams have died because someone thought they had more time? How many people have gone to the grave with their potential still inside of them because they kept saying one day? How many lives have remained stagnant because someone chose procrastination over action? The truth is, time is the most valuable currency you have. And every day you are either investing it wisely or wasting it carelessly. You cannot afford to keep waiting for the perfect moment because the perfect moment does not exist. The only time you have is now. The only guarantee you have is this moment. And if you don't make the most of it, you will look back one day and realize that the clock never stopped ticking. It was you who stopped moving. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for a sign. But life does not wait for anyone. Life does not pause for your indecision. While you hesitate, someone else is taking action. While you are making excuses, someone else is pushing forward. While you are overthinking, someone else is stepping into their destiny. Time is not a respecter of persons. It doesn't slow down because you need more time to figure things out. It doesn't pause because you're not ready yet. It keeps moving whether you use it wisely or not. And if you are not intentional about how you spend your time, you will wake up one day and wonder where it all went. Think about all the minutes, hours, and days that have been wasted on things that do not matter. How much time have you spent worrying about things you cannot change? How much time have you spent scrolling, watching, and consuming things that do not add value to your life? How much time have you spent dwelling on the past, replaying old failures, and living in regret? If you added up all those hours, how much of your life would you have lost? The clock is ticking and you have a choice. You can continue living on autopilot, letting time slip through your fingers. Or you can wake up to the reality that every second is an opportunity to do something meaningful, to take a step forward, to grow, to build, to create, to live fully. There are people who would give anything for just one more day, one more hour, one more moment. Yet here you are with time still in your hands. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you keep waiting? Will you keep making excuses? Will you keep acting like you have forever? Or will you decide right now that you will not waste another moment? Every second that passes is one you will never get back. Every tick of the clock is a reminder that time is moving whether you are or not. The question is not whether the clock will keep ticking. The question is, will you keep wasting it, or will you make every second count? There is something inside of you that is greater than you have ever imagined. Something planted in you before you were even born. A unique gift, a calling, a purpose that only you can fulfill. But too many people live their entire lives never stepping into the very thing they were created to do. They settle for less, they shrink back, they hesitate, and they allow fear, doubt, and distractions to keep them from walking in their true identity. Purpose is not something that is given to only a select few. It is not reserved for the lucky or the special. Every single person was created for something. Every single person has a reason they are here. And yet far too many people never step into their purpose because they have convinced themselves that they are not worthy, not qualified, or not capable. Some people believe they are too broken to have a purpose. They look at their past, their mistakes, their failures, and they tell themselves, there's no way I could ever be used for something greater. They think that because they have fallen short before, their future is no longer valuable. But what if everything you have been through was actually preparing you for what you are called to do? What if your struggles were not meant to break you, but to shape you? What if the very things you thought disqualified you are actually the things that make you powerful?